What is up, you guys? Welcome back for another episode. My name is Chris. I am one of your hosts here, as always with me,
Liam Weisner.
And if you guys like films, you like TV shows, you like entertainment, and you like just real no BS conversations about it, what we thought, review, Easter eggs, any kind of predictions we may have from just lore or just being huge movie buffs ourselves, you're in the right place. And also, we love you guys engaging in the comments. It's more like a conversation than it is us telling you things. And so, if you like that, if you like having conversations about this stuff, you're in the right place. And stick with us all the way to the end because we have a really special giveaway that we're giving away this month, and we want you to win it. So, what are we talking about today, brother?
He's literally depicted as an angel based on the original. Look, who's right, who's wrong.
He's actually like manipulating and trying to control the situation because he knows it was him, right?
It's a prelude to how quickly the Demon Man's gonna be. Good. That's been my take from the beginning.
That little string bean of a dude really gonna drown that soldier? Is that really gonna happen right now? You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
When you couldn't see behind him.
Lord of the Rings episode 3 and 4? Or the
4 and 5. 4 and 5, yeah.
All right.
Because originally they dropped the first 3, but we saw 2 in theaters, so it did kind of throw off like our rhythm. But yeah, 3 already had dropped. We watched it when we got back from theaters, and then we watched 4 and 5. 5 just dropped the last night at midnight. And so we're going to be talking about 4 and 5 today because those are really where we left off.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So episode 4, we'll go there first. We got an introduction to what may be the proof we needed that the stranger is Gandalf. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah?
I definitely think it's Gandalf. We've been saying that since last season.
I don't want it to be, though. I don't want it to be because I think, and I know it is just because of all the references it's going to be, but I was really like hoping that we would get a new character, like one of the blue wizards or someone we hadn't seen before that could introduce something different instead of giving us more of the same. Like Gandalf is the very first story we meet. He's the very first wizard we ever meet. And so it's just like, we get it. We know who he is. Give us something new. That's what I was thinking. But at the same time, I'm a huge fan. Gandalf is one of my favorite characters in all of it. And so to see him on screen is cool.
They throw it in your face though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Definitely explains why he likes the hobbits.
The halflings, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're still called hobbits here.
They're not technically hobbits yet because they're called I can't think of the word right now.
Because it's
Harfoots. They're Harfoots. So hobbits, if you think about it, when you're introduced to the hobbits inside of the book, The Hobbit, other than the Tooks, which is like why, Bilbo has the adventure because that side of him takes over and he wants to go. But normal hobbits, don't move anywhere. They don't like adventure. They don't like traveling. They like their routine. They basically hoard stuff. They collect things and they live these really elegant homes under the hills. And so when you see these Harfoots and their way of life, yes, do I think that it's almost a representation of humanity? We were nomadic at first and then we settled down and we started farming and grew into society. I think that's kind of a representation of that, what's happening. But I don't think they're hobbits yet. What do you guys think in the comments? Are they technically hobbits? Are Harfoots different? Or is it the evolution? What do you guys think?
It's an interesting thought. And then we also get introduced to Tom.
So as a person did you read the books? Did you read Fellowship of the Ring? So you're introduced to Tom in the actual books.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think about him in how he's being represented right now inside of the series?
Well, I've not read the books for 20 years.
Yeah.
But with that said, I'm glad that they introduced him. I completely forgot about him. And then I was like, oh shit, he was in there.
Yeah.
And I knew that they removed him from it a long time ago because that was a big thing. But it's crazy how society moves on and everyone kind of forgets about that little element.
Yeah. No, yeah. They removed him with the Peter Jackson films, which made Lord of the Rings famous for a lot of people who never read the books. And so yeah, it's he's popping up now, and a lot of book purists, are very upset on social media about how he's being represented. So I kind of was just curious. I think, is he the whimsical, carefree, kind of almost fairy-esque the way he acts type of person? And a fairy is not a good description. I just can't think of another word.
He's,
I don't know if he's, because when I think of angels, right, I also think of Sauron. It's Sauron, almost like Lucifer, a fallen angel, right? He is almost like an ascended godlike character who is among mortal men. When I think of Tom, I almost think of nature itself. Like he is creation, which is kind of crazy because
So a masculine form of Mother Nature
maybe
is how you see him.
yeah, but he's like the universe, like the creator. He's like all of it, all in one. If there was a character that was the most powerful and most like curious, it's him to me.
He's not, though.
Who is it for you?
No, I'm just saying he's not. He's literally depicted as an angel based on the original lore.
How so?
He's an angel from Valar, is how he's described in the
Interesting.
book.
I don't recall that. What do you remember? And again, it's been a minute. Go back through and research this, but I remember it always being that he says that he was there at the beginning of it all. He was there before there were trees, before there was all of that. And to me, that makes me think like he was there, like he is the beginning, like he was there where it all started, which is higher in level than what you would see as what we call the Valar, like the gods, the people that created the dwarves and everybody, yeah, all of that. So I don't know, maybe I'm just looking at it differently.
So the gods are above him. So there's things that are way more powerful than him.
Okay, interesting.
I don't recall whether it was monotheistic or not.
There's multiple gods. It's a pantheon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that part.
Yeah.
But I do know that he is an angel from Valar.
Yeah, because Sauron was one of like the disciples or like proteges of the god of blacksmithing, the person who created the dwarves. That's why he's so heavily leaning into crafting these rings, right? Because his background is in blacksmithing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool that they included that. And Saruman,
Yeah.
we got to see him.
Did we? Where did we see him?
He was the one sending.
I don't think that's Saruman.
You know?
Because Saruman is a white wizard and gets turned evil by Sauron in Lord of the Rings, in that trilogy, like during that time. And so if you were to think about it, if Gandalf is still just coming to age, Saruman, the white, would still be a power for good, not an evil wizard. So this is a completely different character.
That was my thoughts around it, but they mentioned that they have to worry about the only wizard being there being Saruman.
Yeah, but they call the other one the Dark Wizard.
Yeah.
They don't give him a name. I mean, I may have missed that completely.
They mentioned that it was Saruman the Dark Wizard.
Interesting.
That's what unless I'm mishearing and confusing Sauron or something, I don't know.
I think it's Sauron, because at this point in history, inside of the universe, he would not be evil. He doesn't turn evil till much later.
Are we, who's right, who's wrong?
Yeah, let us know in the comments for sure.
I'd love to know. Save me some time looking it up.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. It's, like we said, more of a discussion, and we'd love you guys chiming in too in the comments, especially our buddy over there at Pet TV always chiming in. I love that. Make sure you subscribe and do all the other stuff so you can win. Anyway, moving on. We've got the introduction of Tom Bombadil, which I thought was really great. And then you also have kind of some heavy hinting towards Lord of the Rings in that as well, where the willow tree that traps the stranger still is the same thing that happens to the other hobbits, and Tom's like saves them from that and then protects them for a little while, and then they go to the prancing pony. So like there's like a bunch of stuff that like I was thinking like, oh wow, like they're really like hinting heavily towards other things that we would know, other Easter eggs inside of this culture, inside this universe. It's pretty cool.
All right. Do you remember from Lord of the Rings the Human King that joins them on the trilogy?
Like Aragorn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember the sword
Yeah.
that he gets? The character who used that sword showed up.
He's been in it since the first season.
Yeah, but
Isildur?
yeah.
Yeah. Isildur is the one they think is thought was dead. And then he has that like almost Aragon-like Return of the King intro style with the horse going back. But yeah, we've seen him.
But his arc is definitely getting way more involved here.
Yeah.
Which is exciting because we all know what he's well known for, right?
Yeah.
Like slaying Sauron.
Well, cutting his hand off, yeah. And then refusing to throw the ring in and starting the whole fucking thing back over again. You know,
History repeats.
that thing. No, that was cool. You get to, what was really, really kind of interesting, and maybe jumping ahead, is kind of how they're playing out the Numen, like the whole plot in Numenor and his father and his best friend and all the things that are happening over there too, that we just saw this morning, or, when it dropped at midnight.
I watched it this morning.
Yeah, so we get to see the stranger kind of almost find a mentor. He's like, the star map brought me here. I think I'm supposed to learn from you and figure these things out. So what else we got going on?
The female elf Glendor or whatever.
Galadriel?
Galadriel. terrible names. Anyway, get to see her fighting, slightly resisting, and also succumbing to the power of the ring that she's using. We have the introduction to the One Ring to rule them all.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
There was a line where he mentions it, and then there's even a line where he like becomes Anatar and he talks about being the Lord of Rings, which was like right on the nose, like saying it. But no, maybe I'm not catching the specific reference. So share it.
When the helper that was helping with the rings went invisible.
Oh, you're talking about in the most recent episode.
Yes.
Still in episode 4. Okay. Yeah. No, there's big hints in his towards the One Ring for sure.
And the jeweler forger elf, the lead dude over there, the one, he's like battling his own previous decisions, but he's still succumbing.
Celebrimbor.
He knows that he's being manipulated.
He calls him out on it in this newest episode. He basically says like that's your thing, isn't it? Like you manipulate people and get them to do what you want
by making them think it was there.
Yeah, plant that seed. He calls him right on it. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
And then he just brushes by it and continues on doing exactly what he knows he's already doing to him.
Well, at that point, he already has him, right? He already had him lie to the king. He's already had him forge the 7 dwarf rings. He's already done quite a bit. So he's just going to keep him moving forward.
Very much espionage-esque. Like the way spies do shit, right? When they're looking for a mark, get someone to do something against the state or government or anything like that, right? So it's very reminiscent of that. So it's like a spy thriller thrown into all this for me. So I'm enjoying that.
So then we got introduction to the Barrow-wights. That was interesting. What do you think? Fighting the Barrow-wights, the elves.
The Barrow-wights. Which one of those?
They're like the undead ghost style things with the glowing eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was very cool. But I thought that they were the original humans that were the holder of the rings.
No, so the Nazgul, or the 9, are not made yet.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were.
Oh, no, the Barrow-wights are different. Yeah.
But they look exactly the same. So is that what they turned into?
No, I think that's just conceptually how they designed them to look. But no, they're different.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, oh, I know who these people are, right? It's those 3 kings. And I'm like, wait a minute. Or not 3 kings, but the human kings. But I was like, wait a minute, no, they're not around yet because those rings weren't even finished quite yet.
Even forging yet. So not yet. Yeah, we will eventually meet the Witch King, who is like the leader of the 9. And then I'm sure this series has a lot of potential to like really do some cool stuff. So I don't want to spoil stuff and get too far ahead. But yeah, I think that the 9 rings have a lot of potential to show off some really cool backstory for that stuff. But let's dive into the 7 rings. So Galadriel gets captured by the Gorks. Episode ends. Then we dive into episode 5. And so episode 5, we don't really get to see the stranger at all. No Tom, no stranger, no halflings. It was really focused on the dwarves and what's happening inside of Khazad-dûm and the forging of the actual dwarven rings and the power that's like corrupting them. And so what was your thoughts on the opening of this one?
I always felt a kinship with the dwarves. I think it was because I was a late bloomer as a kid, so I was always shorter and stocky, but because I was 5'2" when I joined the military.
Yeah.
5'2".
So short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the time I left boot camp, I was 5'8", 5'9".
They stretch you real good in the military.
Yes.
So stretch them out.
That's what everyone joked about. But I always liked the dwarves, so it kind of pains me for that reason that you're watching the king lose his way. And they make that very evident. So that was sad for me. What about you?
I think it's like all good things started out like all bad, like how do I want to say it? It starts off like a good thing, right? So he gets the ring. He's able to find light. They have to establish, their crops again. But very quickly, as you said, you get to see the corruption of that power, how he stops listening to anybody, very much more power hungry, much more selfish and controlling than he ever was before. Because in the earlier, interactions with him and his son, you can tell like he's coming from a place of love. He like wants to have his son be a good person. He wants to have his son, be loyal and understand the dwarven ways. Like he's coming from a place of love, not a place of like malice or hate.
And he was just being stubborn then. Yeah.
Where, just the stubbornness of dwarves, right? Like it's a thing, it's a saying. So in this, I think it's a little bit different now, where he's actually like manipulating and trying to control the situation. Even his son too, right? Because his son's like, you need to stop doing this. Like we can't dig, we can't keep going forward. There's bad things gonna happen. My own wife heard this. We need to stop. And instead of like listening to him, he's like, oh, here, I'll give you your power back too. And so his son, being like such a big heart himself, was just like, I want your love and acceptance. I want to be part of your life. So he accepts it. But his wife calls him out on it. She's like, you can't just take the title and like expect everything to go away. Like we're still in a serious amount of trouble. So we got reintroduced, I would say, to the Balrog, at least his voice, which is the impending doom of Khazad-dûm, right? They're gonna dig into the mithril and then release it, which is what we get introduced to in Lord of the Rings and Gandalf.
Shall not pass.
Exactly.
Yes.
We have Galadriel still in the imprisonment of the orcs, but not really a prisoner anymore. He's trying to ally with her. And not Anatar, but Andar, yep. So Andar's trying to basically be like, the enemy of my enemy, right, is my friend, and let's unite and fight Sauron before this dude actually gets some power again. I know what he's up to. And then they're right on the elven doorstep now, right? So I believe predictions for the next episode is we're actually going to start to see the battle of Eregion, like the siege of Eregion, which means that they're going to have to very quickly forge these 9 rings before Sauron has to run.
All right. And, well, they're already forging the rings.
Yeah.
But I still want to know what your thoughts are around the helper elf going invisible. Like, do you really believe that's the One Ring also?
Is that the One Ring? No. All the rings have that power.
Do they?
To see into the other side. Not all of them have the power to turn you invisible, but
it made her invisible.
Right. So it's not the One Ring. The One Ring comes later, and he actually forges it in Mordor after he runs from the Battle of Eregion. So what's happening, I think, is that the rings of power, every time they forge them, so they started with the 3 elves, and he had no real power there, right? He just kind of gave them some ideas. They forged them. They are infused with power. He can kind of manipulate it, but he doesn't have any power over them. But dwarves, he directly put whatever magic into that rock before he dropped it in, right, into the mithril. So now he actually is directly influencing and controlling, like his power is going through that. He's actually manipulating them through that power now. So the dwarves are being manipulated. Inside of what they're doing for the rings of the men, it's like the next level of that, even more. Because they said men are even more easily manipulated. We need to do something different. But I think he's tricked them into doing something that makes it even more powerful for the men, rather than taking it away.
Easier to corrupt them.
Right, gives them more power to him, right? Rather than having them have more power to keep away from him. And I think one of the side effects of that ring, of the rings, the 9, is invisibility, which is why they become like a wraith, almost like an undead person that you can only see when you put the ring on.
Ooh, that's good.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is just one of the rings of power the men get, and one of the, bits of that power, one of the things they get, one of the pieces of magic, if you will. But the ring of power itself.
Hold on, before you go,
Yeah.
I want to know, who do you think she was talking about when she was talking about seeing the one on flame?
Sauron.
You think?
Yeah, and that's why he very quickly took her aside and was like, oh, that was actually Celebrimbor. And you got to be careful and be on my side because it was him, not me. He doesn't say it wasn't me, but he's like, oh, let me get in front of that really quick. He's like, oh, that light you saw? That was your master. That was the head elf. He's like very quickly getting in front of it because he knows it was him, right? He knows that burning figure, same one that the elf king saw, is him. So yeah, that's what I think when it comes to what happened with that ring in the workshop.
And I didn't realize it till later. I know this again. That was previous episode, but when Galadriel has her premonition
From the ring.
yes, was that the same exact premonition that came true later on?
We'd have to double check to see if it was identical. Yeah. So all the rings of power give some sort of magic to the user. And one of the ones that Galadriel has is foresight. She can see into the future, which when you meet her in Lord of the Rings is one of the things that she still, like, because she wears the ring, can still do. And she says, I see the path ahead of you. It's in my head too. I know what you have to do. And she gives them the gifts to protect them, which is exactly what they need on their quest.
I was just wondering if you caught that also.
No, I don't think I did. I would have to go back and watch it again to see if the foresight was accurate to what had played out. Dwarf King refusing to give the rings without tribute. That was interesting. To show how fast he corrupted, to show how fast the rings of power are starting to change who he is and have like a really negative manipulative toll on him.
Well, his son also said that him demanding half the resources of the other mines is unlike him. He is not greedy by nature, and now he is completely flip-flopped with who he is as a moral person, moral dwarf.
Well, first he gets the ring. He finds the way to get the light back in by like destroying the foundational walls of his own mines and his own world or his own kingdom. So eventually we might see that not be a good thing. But then he starts putting a ring tax on everything, right? So he's not only demanding tribute from other neighboring dwarf tribes, he's actually demanding it from his own people. So it's very, very quickly changing him and corrupting him into this like power hungry, almost like, you know how dragons put like a disease on gold and like you get like this like gold lust from like if you try to steal dragon gold
from mythology.
Yeah, I think it's almost the same thing where it's like he's just obsessed with riches like and power.
Beowulf.
Yeah,
Beowulf is what we're thinking of.
Yeah. So I just think it's really interesting to see how fast that corrupted him, and then what's going to happen when he eventually does give the other rings of power to the other 6 lords and then the men. It's just, I'm really excited.
It's a prelude to how quickly the Downfall Man's going to be.
Yeah. I'm excited for a couple of big things. We got the Battle of Eregion, we've got the release of the Balrog, and we've got the introduction of the rest of the rings that we have to look forward to. So super excited for all of the things that could play out. And I've decided just like to remove the idea that this needs to play off like the books or play into canon and just look at it as another fantasy adventure I could be on. And it's been fun.
Good. That's been my take from the beginning. One thing we didn't talk about, though, was Númenor.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that very much with all the shit that just happened there.
Yeah. So King Farazan is now officially in charge of Númenor. Mm-hmm. He basically is like telling his son, if you're any kind of man or any, want to be a part of what I'm doing moving forward and not be some pissant on the side of the road, you're going to do exactly as I say and basically be my enforcer. He decides that to enforce that he's going to remove rank and title and office from anybody who was loyal to the previous queen, which was the first blow he tries to take at him, but doesn't get a good rise out of him. But then eventually, as we move through the episode, dude crashes a freaking funeral, basically shuts down the entire church so they can run an aqueduct through it. And that was like the final straw.
And they were worshiping the god, that temple or church is where they worship the gods of Valar.
Correct. Yes.
Where
and they were
from.
And they were actually sending off the spirits of their fallen. So it was like a funeral and a ceremony honoring the gods at the same time. So there's a lot of emotional it's packed full of emotion. And he knew it. That's why he chose to do that. He wanted to get that rise. And then we watch basically him destroy the statue, get punched, fight ensues. I thought for a second, I'm like, is he really, that little string bean of a dude, really going to drown that soldier? Is that really going to happen right now? Mm-hmm. And then he pushes him off. I'm like, thank you, because there's no way. There's no way that would have happened. That dude is way stronger than him. But ultimately listens to his, captain or, basically foster dad at that point, because he was looking at him as a son, especially after the perceived loss of his own, and stabs right through the back like a coward. And
that pissed me off.
And you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
When you couldn't see behind him and he was holding his, you knew it's a classic stab in the back scene. But yeah, I can't wait to see Karma catch up with that little weasel. And what's going to happen to him?
True Game of Thrones style.
Different universe, but I would love for it to be more Game of Thrones when he catches it, for sure. All right, so that's a wrap for today. But before we say goodbye to you guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And that's actually the first step you need to take in order to win the $50 gift card this month. And so be subscribed to the channel, number one. The second thing you need to do is share this video with someone who also loves Lord of the Rings or Prime Video or fantasy or any of the things that we talk about. so they can be a part of the conversation as well. Once you do that, comment below that you did, and you're entered to win. Simple as that. So just be subscribed to the channel, share this, and let us know you did it. And you'll be entered to win at the end of this month, or the beginning of next month. We'll do a live drawing, let you know who won, and can't wait to share more awesome films with you guys.
Check out the first 2 episodes of the season that we did when we saw the premiere, so that you can see how much we were actually right about and some of the things we got wrong in that first video.
Yeah. That video will be right up here for you guys, and go check it out, and we'll see you on that video.
Find the strength hiding in each battle scar. You're not who you were, you've already come far.